once again, I will just say this is the Inter-Ludo session. 11.5 officially now that we are recording. But we wanted to get some time in and just get some moments in with Ludo to catch up on everything. So basically, I was going to throw to you immediately of anything that Ludo's been thinking, reflecting on, any moments in the last couple weeks that have, you're not certain about, any recaps, or just, any reflections of everything that's happened up until now and any questions.
Yeah, so I was in the last session, right? That's when Ludo was trying to talk to the people in the
Yes.
Was that just the inn? Yeah. So I remember that. No, I think Ludo was just trying to make his awkward attempt at being social and helping the group out by trying to talk to people. But yeah, it's funny how the group reacted to that, especially Arrow's character.
Aljin.
Yeah, Aljin. He he felt like it was so awkward and out of character for Ludo to do that, to talk to people so openly. No, I guess Ludo right now he's still concerned with that drow that had the baby that we rescued.
Yeah.
Because we never found that drow afterwards, right? That drow threw the baby and escaped.
Yes.
So he's still got that kind of not all the way in the back of his mind, but still, it's pushed back, but it's still enough at the front that he's on the lookout. He's still trying to keep his eye out just in case anything would catch his attention.
Yeah, no, especially I think maybe that moment of reflection of thinking back to the actual choice that he made in that moment when she tossed it up. He was given, you can seek vengeance, you can chase her down and let whatever else happen, or let that go and focus on catching on the baby and providing that safety. And I think that was a very powerful moment for Ludo.
Yeah, I agree because he's definitely trying to seek that redemption, but at the same time he still has his morals and his values, and he is going to rescue the innocent rather than pursue his own redemption.
Yeah.
I think just kind of looking through some of the notes that I took too.
Exactly. That's why, especially any of the other stuff and recaps that kind of, if you needed any other clarifications on, just getting from point A to B of other things that have been going on, or just also just Ludo's reactions to everything else, the other party dynamics.
Yeah. No, I think he's kind of growing to really like this party. He was just kind of nervous about not necessarily nervous, but still kind of keeping Morgen and why am I blanking?
The person who changes their name constantly, Saeryn.
Saeryn, yeah. Morgen and Saeryn.
He has thrown out a handful of names, so to be fair.
He has Morgen and Saeryn. He's kind of had them kind of at arm's distance, but not necessarily pushing them away. But he is kind of he's getting more comfortable, and even though he found out that Aljin was kind of shrouding his background and who he really is, he still feels pretty close to Aljin.
Especially, going from Finn to Aljin now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ludo is wondering where we haven't met back up with the other group yet, correct?
Yeah, not since that split from in the cave.
Right.
When
those
tensions flared up.
So in a weird way, I think Ludo almost feels like he's kind of a misfit with this group, and that he wonders if he would fit better in the other group, but he's not like concerned with leaving this group to pursue that. I think he kind of feels like a connection, especially with Dermot, because Dermot at one point actually joined Ludo for some prayer.
Yeah.
And Maggie had that connection with protecting the baby, and yeah. So, not that he doesn't want to leave this group at all.
Yeah.
But he just feels like he has kind of like a little bit of a short time bond with the other group.
Yeah, like a kinship and a camaraderie.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And I guess also just reflecting back on, is he dwelling on those like tensions as like how things left off with the group last?
I don't think he felt like it was really that tense, because he was so concerned with rescuing that baby, and Maggie, like, he definitely noticed some of the tensions, but like, especially with Maggie being so concerned about the baby, I think he was just kind of like, this is how it goes. They're good guys, we're good guys, we're all on the same team here in the end.
Yeah, no. That is fantastic. And then after that moment, you guys had been out back on the road again, just, dealing with sandstorms, the weather, heat waves. There was that encounter where the mammoths came rushing out of the sandstorm with the, like a gloomstalker creature on its heels that like tried to carry Morgen away and almost killed her, and then you came over and healed her, picked her back up after your moorbounder steed had died.
Yeah.
And then you guys got back on the road again, and then pretty much right to the gates of Bazzoxan, and immediately got attacked by a bunch of other creatures, dealt with the authority figure, Varen, the task hand, just seeing that weight of burden of authority on somebody else's shoulders. And then you went right to the ready room and met those interesting characters
and tried to make some conversation and learn some things, but just ended up succeeding at being awkward.
Which, like, I love that moment in reflection. So actually I could here, let's get this off of this spooky layer. That's for Saeryn. That's something for Saeryn to deal with when he gets back here. We're back to the full lively bar. It's just a click of a button. And last we were with Ludo is actually you were in that drinking contest with Aljin there. Both of you had made some con saves, so I think we need to get some more lively music going. How about that?
Perfect.
And I don't know, how many pints do you think Ludo had? You are not worried about your con save is more than fine. Your stomach is holding up to basically, like, after being on the road for however long, this is, you've been able to let yourself kind of relax and enjoy as much as possible, at least.
All right, let's leave it up to the dice. How about 2d6 to see how many pints?
Let's see the pints.
A good 8 pints.
Woo!
He's feeling toasty.
Yeah. So I mean that ASMR stalwart build, which I will say, because you've been keeping up with Aljin, and it's actually gotten to the point you can't be sure if maybe you've snuck a few extra or maybe he snuck a few extra. We'll get back to him on how that night has gone. But I think at this point, after you find yourself 8 deep, there's a moment where you are basically sitting alone here at the bar. Aljin has wandered off, been caught up into something else. Saeryn seems to be off in a daze, staring like off into the wall. You basically like your brain's immediately like, oh, they're in the middle of something. I'm not even gonna try bothering them. And Morgen is seems to be perched over by the fireplace with their bird, and just cooing up and in the middle of a full conversation. It appears like. So you're just there, at the bar. The bartender comes over to you. He's just like, "Oh, would you like another pint, another round?"
I think I should probably cap it off at this one. By my count, I'm at a round number of 8.
Oh, you did the octo stretch. You're gonna get up on the wall, you.
I think he's gonna look at the wall to see what they're talking about.
Yeah, and you just see like there's like a wall off to like the left side of the bar where the people come in and out of, where like that like raise and lowering panel is. On that wall there seems to be like a little scratching post with like notches and tallies, and you see like a good like number of people. Usually get around like 5, 6, 7, but then there's like down near the bottom there's like a smaller like lesser handful of names that go to the full like 8 notches, mostly for bragging rights.
All right.
Alright,
Put me up there.
Awesome. So they go and scratch you up down onto the bottom, and I'll say go ahead and make a perception check.
All right.
Make it with disadvantage. You're a little tipsy-turvy right now. Let's see, it would have been the 8 anyway, but damn, that it's... You go to start scratching your name in, and like your eyes just kind of like glaze and gloss over the rest of the names that are like scrabbled, like, and they all just kind of look like notches in a wall to you at this point. You're not able to like determine any, like, yeah, you're like, oh, who else is
just
like been drinking this high? Yeah, but
just kind of oblivious, like, oh yeah, there's some other names here. Scratching his own.
Yeah. Scratch his name on wall. But yeah, you just do that, and then you see the sister of the bartender, the other drow, Prima, who with her like white hair and like her nice like finer cloak, she comes walking out of the back, and she actually comes and does set like a glass of water down there in front of you, and then like another like small plate of the rice and fish that was being done on the rounds at Aljin, who dropped all that gold earlier in the night.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, she just gives you like that like smile of like, here, food, water.
Yeah, so Ludo will sit down and take a few sips of the water and start munching at the food.
Yeah, you're able to sit there, especially after Morgan's food of that, like, create food and water that they were doing that entire road of the travel. Those bland, tasteless rations that you are all surviving off of near the end. This is about as good as it gets. Not as good as the food that was at the Emerald Grove, though. That was much, much better for sure. But you're able to, get that plate in, and then you find yourself, pretty much night is up to yours. You have the cots that are already been paid for free from the task hand. Evening is still pretty early, so if you also, needed to go get some fresh air, go walk around, or pretty much whatever Ludo's thinking or feeling at the moment, let me know.
Yeah, I think Ludo would at this point, I would imagine if he hasn't broken the seal yet, he would probably need to take a trip to the nearest lavatory, whether that's in the building or an outhouse.
Yeah, they point you to basically like where the alley out back for most of the gentlemen for most immediate, business.
Yeah, so Ludo will chug the rest of his water and make his way out to the piss alley.
Easily enough, you kind of give a few, words to the party who's like barely even paying attention. You feel like you're not sure if they even remember or not, come morning, but you head on out through the back. Pretty much it's like you go past through where the kitchen is, and then it takes you to like the alley behind where the bar is.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ludo would probably mostly just try to get Aljin's attention, Finn's attention, and if I think at this point his judgment is still like eight pints deep, he's not gonna go out of his way to get his attention. But if Aljin just happened to be looking that way, he would wave and like nod that to indicate that he's going out.
Yeah, and we'll let that be determined at a later time.
Yep. Sounds like a good roll.
But yeah, you make the wave, and you're not sure exactly if it was acknowledged or not. But then you head on out to the back.
Realize he has to go, so he's gonna go.
Perfect. If you get back into that alley, it's just like that cobblestone, the smooth, sleek streets. You see there's not a lot of waste or anything else. Like everything is pretty neat and clean, but you're able to find like over back where like they keep the dumpster a spot, like where they have determined. But yeah, you don't see anyone else. It's like the night is kind of cold. You feel a little bit of it's actually getting well past into closer to autumn now. We haven't really talked about time and calendar dates, but I have finally determined what date it is in the world, and it is you would have left Jigao. The Festival of Merit would have been at the summer's end to celebrate the summer, going into the harvesting of the rice, since that was some of the games that people were able to participate in. And that was at harvest close, which I have the date here written somewhere. It doesn't matter. Basically, going into fall post-harvest, you're a couple weeks after the harvests close. And so you still feel that slight chill in the air as it's starting to drop down at night.
Yeah, so he makes his way over to where it's more obvious that people relieve themselves.
Yeah, and exactly.
Take a leak.
Go through the steps, all of that, fade to black. And you find yourself on the streets of Bazzoxan, actually. If I can give you a visual.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So here is, if this is the, you go there. If this is the inn, this is the second floor where everyone was at. So this is the first floor. You see how like the chandelier matches up on this, where everyone was like, the bar is like on a second level raised up that you like took a rise up and down from. And then there's a stairwell in the back. So you came out, walked out through the back. So now you're in this back alley behind the building.
Gotcha.
And you're basically, you're like basically at the center of town. When you came and walked in, you went past those big metal saw teeth blade pits, the sacrifice engines that you saw were like tipped with silver. You were pointed out there's a bunch in the city. You still actually hear off in the distance, there's the small clang of an anvil and hammer of like a blacksmith somewhere off in the distance. You see a number of soldiers still like out on patrol. Seemingly like a heavy guard is patrolling the streets. You see like a stringent of 4 go walk by, and they're like polished black insectile armor. Them chatting amongst themselves. It's like a contingent of like drow, bugbear, and various humanoids. Looking up onto the city as it like rises up in the steps, vertically going up into the mountain where that Betrayer's Rise, those large obsidian towers that like dominated the cityscape. So here, let's change view once more, just to help give you the full scene,
Yeah.
So basically, like, you're in the middle of that, and you see how it like rises up, and then there's those large gate up at the top that goes right into the mountains. That's the Betrayer's Rise. You see the smokestacks of what was pointed out as the crematorium rising off into the distance. You see like the smoke is still billowing heavily from there, and you look out across the city and up on one of like the mid-level off into the northeast of the city, like halfway towards where that Betrayer's Rise is. There's like that large fallen obsidian tower obelisk, like an obelisk that had like fallen and crumbled and smashed through a portion of the city, seems to still be laying there. You see that off in the distance. Various wealthy houses and estates off on the east side. On the west, you were pointing out there was a some sort of temple as well, and you imagine there's the Luxon has a presence in the temple in the city. So yeah, basically, if there's anything that Ludo wants to particularly look for, let me know, and anything that catches your interest,
Yeah. I think at this point he's he's relieved himself. The cool air feels good. I think he's just gonna take a stroll and maybe head towards the anvil sound that he hears. I guess he would think that this late in the day, it's kind of interesting that somebody would still be working like in a blacksmith.
Yeah, because you see, like, nightfall has basically fully fallen at this point. You were, like, at that very end of twilight going in as you found your way out, which, you guys got pretty, not day drunk, but pretty early evening drunk.
Yeah.
So you go over to the clanging.
Yeah, I think just follow the sound, just walk towards it.
Easy enough to follow. It's actually kind of winding back on the road that you first walked in. It basically seems to be like a halfway point between the front gates and where you're at in the middle of town, and it's an easy enough sound to follow as you make your way down in. Like the rest of the buildings in the town, it's a small squat that seems to be made out of that like sand and whatever brick stone that is mined from the mountains nearby. Has that like reddish orangish clay almost properties to it. All of the buildings are the short, squat. Half the roofs have like the peaked tipped roofs of like metal rafter style toppings. The other half have flat level where they're able to like build stuff like on that. You see maybe people are probably tending their gardens. As you are making your way towards that sound, actually, let me see real fast. You see, as you get to the intersection, you're halfway to where the sound of the blacksmith is. You hear the sounds of it at first, and it starts as like, a conversation that turns into raised voices, just like, fuck you, hey, what? And then as you round the corner, you see there's just like two random citizens that are like almost coming to blows. They're like getting up in each other's faces, just like a random drow, and then the other's just like a smaller squat goblin. And the goblin's yelling at the one drow is just like, "What did you do? You didn't protect me or mine earlier. Why should I protect you next time?" And then a Aurora Watts soldier comes and runs up and is just like, "Oh, halt! What are we doing? What are we doing?" And like trying like gets in between the both of them.
I think Ludo would just kind of like watch from a distance. I don't think he would get involved unless, it looked like somebody was obviously bullying somebody else.
Yeah, and you see the soldier kind of comes in and is like able to pacify the situation at a moment, and overhearing it seems to be some aftermath of a conflagration from earlier of the attack and neighbors just coming to squabbles over whatever personal interactions they've had.
Mm-hmm.
But you just you witness and watch that, and you see this guard, like it takes them a few moments to calm everyone down and like get them both to start speaking out, and they're both sobbing and the tears and emotions are fully front. But you do see it does resolve itself eventually, as you're like kind of like slowly taking your time and observing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think Ludo would just kind of like do like a little like half wave and nod to the guard if the guard looks over his way, and just continue on.
Yeah, you see they scan the area and they like kind of make eye contact with you and like notice your position and body language of like you're not interfering, you're watching and just making sure, and they give you that like nod of respect, and then you make your way on down closer into the blacksmith. As opposed to the rest of the buildings, you feel the chill of the night air, slightly like small maybe goosebumps breaking out on your skin, because you feel the noticeable difference of temperature and heat as you walk closer to the building. This building stands in stark contrast to the rest of the domiciles nearby. It is still in that sleek, utilitarian, ergonomic nature, but everything is way more open built. It has a open port above in a middle section where you see a large furnace that is full cast iron, larger than yourself. It is like a 10 by 10 cube almost. You see it has actually multiple massive bellows sticking out on its side. And as you look over, you see a person working at it. Their skin is reddish hue in nature. They are a humanoid, full body like you, arms, legs, everything. On their head, though, where a hair would be, you see it is almost like a smoldering of coals. Like if someone had like a military buzz cut, and you replaced the hair with coals, and it was a small smoldering fire that like spits out like it was coming up into like a spiked kind of hairstyle. Their eyebrows are of a pure like ember yellow color, their pupils glowing like embers themselves. They're wearing a full leather heavy apron, sweat pouring down across their even like red tinted skin. And they're just like massive arms and biceps holding a pure metal hammer, and you're just hammering away at the anvil below them. Then they look over at the fire of the furnace, and they speak a word, and the two bellows begin to whoosh, whoosh, move themselves up and down and back and forth in tandem, and it rears the forge back to life with a blast of heat that washes over you. And then you see them take glowing ember piece of metal and stick it back into the furnace, pull it back out a second later as it's glowing white, yellow hot, and then they start hammering away furiously again.
Pretty cool. Hey, I forget. Did my steed get resummoned? My Moorbounder?
Yes, you would have had Zephyr back before you came into town.
Okay, all right. Well, it says I can communicate with it telepathically, so I would have had it just like stay back and
Gotcha.
Just kind of like keep watch like over the party, kind of. I mean, just relax, chill out.
Yeah.
I think Ludo would at this point, as long as they're within a mile of each other, they can still telepathically communicate.
Yeah.
So he would just say, Zephyr, I just found this really cool blacksmith. I'm gonna check it out.
And you just feel like a nice little purr back in response. But basically the equivalent of just like a, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think Ludo would just I feel like the whole picture that you painted of this, seeing this blacksmith work is just kind of fascinating, and I think he would just like kind of watch in like admiration for a little while. Not necessarily like there for any reason other than just curious, drinking. it's dark. Somebody's still smacking some steel. Yeah. So it drew his attention, and he just wanted to check it out. And then seeing this whole setup and who's doing it, I think he's just kind of fascinated.
Yeah, and it really is like no one walking by in the town. You see the occasional guard or civilian, commoner walking past, and you see a couple like interested glances, but to you, like, it's watching an artist at work almost.
Right.
Just the appreciation of craft. And I will say, after probably a few minutes of you hanging around watching, they don't notice you. It seems like they're very fully invested in and just like at go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay.
See if you can get another crit. No, I haven't.
Nope.
That's fine, because you're fascinated with the show and you're watching them at work. And it does appear at times like they'll lean down in and almost like seem like they're like whispering to the piece of metal or the flames, and like they almost like respond, or like you see as they're hammering on it, they're like almost muttering and chanting under their breath, like in a rhythm that you start to pick up on over time.
I think Ludo's going to look around. Does this look like just the blacksmith, or does it look like there are like items on display and for sale?
No, so you're looking at maybe more of like the shop.
Yeah, like if it is a shop, or is it just the blacksmith?
Yeah, and actually you do, as you go to look around, and like it seems to be a combination of like a homestead turned into like a blacksmith forgery, but there is a weather battered sign, but it is like a rusted patina, because it's a metal like fully etched that is like hung above like the door frame to the front of the place, and on it says Clang and Tang.
Clang and Tang.
And yeah, you see to maybe to be able to determine it's at least a local blacksmith, if not a full on. Because like in the back of your head you are wondering, it is a very heavy militaristic, violence-based society. I mean, the moment you walked in, demons were attacking. So you've in the back of your head you've clocked the majority of people you've seen out have been soldiers, and anyone else that isn't a soldier has been armed.
Gotcha. What about the wait staff and bartenders in the inn? Were they armed as well? Or did I notice what I have noticed?
In the drinking, hard to say. You do notice like there was a very predominant like at least like a beater stick that was like hanging up behind the bar within like easy reach, and
Classic.
yeah, with between the two that were seemingly running, there was like the one male who stayed mostly behind the bar, and then the female who occasionally came out. You know, she had like folds of robes and cloth, and who knows what could be hiding.
Gotcha. Yeah, so trying to think how to play this out since Ludo has been drinking. I guess he's interested in the weaponry on display, but he doesn't want to appear like he's trespassing or loitering or coming in somewhere where he's not welcome, because it does seem like it's after hours to him. So would there be a way to like check that?
Yeah, so I think it is there's those moments where maybe even Ludo, probably with checks before, had been drinking. You're not sure, like it comes to that moment of like, wait, how long have I been standing here thinking about this? Like it is like, has this been like a minute? Has this been 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Has it been 10 minutes? Like, like it's that you just catch yourself come to in that moment. And as you're debating, you're sitting there looking over, like there are weapons on display in like the forefront of the window. You see over near where the forge is, next to where the anvil, there's the sets of barrels. Like there's a set of 3 of them off near where he seems to be working. And then above them on racks are various tools, implements, and other, either half finished or finished works, and shields, armor, bracers, boots, helmets. There is like various display you're looking at. It is very fine work. And it's as you catch yourself come to in that moment, I think what catches your attention is that quick, just like the hissing sound of the hot metal being plunged into one of those barrels. He puts into like the first of the 3, like the one that's furthest from you but closest to the furnace next to him. And then you see the blacksmith who's been working this whole time, and he just says, he seems to look up at that and catch you. He says like, hello, my friend. What brings you to the Clang and Tang?
Hello, good sir. I heard the smack of your anvil from down the street, and I was intrigued at who would be working on steel work at such an hour of the evening.
Well, in Bazzoxan, there is always work to be done. It never stops. I would know.
Looks like fine work you have here.
Oh, thank you. I take much pride in my work. Every work is a piece of art that I put my soul into. Not that anyone ever cares or notices.
Well, then they all must be blind, because this entire setup that you have here is a work of art. I'm fascinated.
Oh, you flatter me. You flatter me too much. What do you want?
I am a fan of weaponry and armor.
Yeah. And you see, like, he does kind of like, he's just like, what? Why are you being so flattering? Like, kind of like that defensive posture, like, he's like, what's going on here? Yeah. He's like, thank you. Actually, go ahead, make a persuasion roll real quick, with advantage.
Sure.
See, let that charisma, come in with that 14, and he says, oh, somebody who finally appreciates his good work. Come in. Do not stand on the threshold. I welcome you into my home.
Oh, this is your home.
Yes, I live here. I put my whole life into building up. I am a blacksmith. Are you familiar with the Genasi? And I'll say
Ludo probably would be, right?
Yeah. He's pretty learned. I'll say go ahead and make it a history check.
All right.
Just to see like how much, basically. No, even with the 7, it is you've definitely heard of the Genasi. It is Io is a Genasi. She's a water Genasi, at least in skin and nature.
That's right.
But she's like a half Genasi, half orc, so they are elemental based creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the origins and history of what basically there's Genasi, elemental type creatures, humanoids. There's tieflings, infernal humanoids. You're an Aasimar. You've been told, which is like a celestial type equivalent. But
yeah. So yeah, what did he specifically ask me if I was familiar with the Genasi? Yeah. Well, yes, I somewhat familiar. However, I've only met maybe a handful of the Genasi kind.
Yes, we very rarely find ourselves stranded on the prime material plane, such as life, and life is pain. But sorry, my name is Joro Borelin. Nice to meet you. Who are you?
Joro, it's nice to meet you. I am Ludo. I'm Protector Aasimar, Paladin, traveling with a group from Jigao.
Yes, the Festival of Merits. I hear it is a great time, many festivities and merriment. I wish I could make it sometime.
Oh, it was a blast. We were fortunate enough to compete in the festivities and came away with some medals of our own.
So you are an adventurer then?
I have been drawn into adventuring, and yes, I guess I do consider myself an adventurer now.
Adventurers, they usually I'm able to supply them and make a living, but nowadays here in Bazzoxan it is not so easy goings.
So, do you mean you don't get much traffic?
You can only polish and undent so many armors for the military. Although they do require a steady supply, I guess you could say. We just don't think about the people who were wearing the armor before they came back to me. Life is pain.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. What was that blacksmith's name again?
Jorel. Jorel.
Jor. Oh, thank you.
If you can tell, he has a catchphrase.
Life is pain. Well, Jor-El, if you're interested in other work, I'm not overflowing with coin, but I would be welcome to any suggestions for upgrades with my gear. And he kind of looks down at his shoddy chainmail.
Yeah, so you're wearing just regular chainmail. You got like the shield of expression. Whatever helmet.
Yeah.
Just like generic gear at that point. Besides, and then that
But
silver spear.
the Silverlight, Silverlight spear. I think he would realize that he had it after looking at his armor and the shield. The shield's just kind of strapped to his back at this point, and the
full link style.
The spear would kind of be like, yeah, and the spear would kind of be like sheathed behind the shield.
Yes.
And, so he's looking at his armor, and when he realizes the spear is back there, he pulls it out, and he's like, oh, actually, I found this spear, and I thought you might find this interesting, and shows it off to Jarrell.
And he says, oh, that is amazing work. Let me look at that. And then he goes and sits there and begins to inspect it. I'm going to give them this with advantage. Okay. And he looks up and down, and he's as he's sitting there holding it, he sets it on a thing that holds it aloft where he's not holding it at all, and he grabs a small little tiny hammer out of a little bench, and you see he picks up one that's almost also a pure silver hammer, it looks like, at least coated at the very least. And he goes and walks over to it, and he does a little tap sound, and you just hear that pure ringing sound of silver, just a sound out the and he says, yes, this is pure wrought silver. This is amazing. You could tell the telltale celestial and the arcane power. Where did you find such a weapon?
I actually found it embedded in a deadly creature under the sea. The creature attacked, and I was able to wrest it from his carapace.
Ah, yes, under the sea. Down where it's wetter.
Take it from me.
I will not. This is your spear. You have earned it. And he hands it back. Had to. Thank you. Just fully broke on that. Fuck.
Also, check this out. He taps it on the ground and says the word Lumos, and it illuminates.
Yes, he's like, oh, it is magical. I thought so. I could detect the arcane runes. Well, you have amazing weaponry. I doubt I could interest you in anything in that regard, but your armor, I must say so, is to be desired. It could be upgraded. Is that why you come here today?
Well, it wasn't my first intention, but after seeing your work on display here and the quality of your kiln and furnace and all of your tools, I would not mind an upgrade at all.
Yes, I could, unfortunately, I have, only the mundane to offer. I could, try and, upgrade you into, more suitable heavy armor. What are your, funds currently?
Well, not great at this point, but I may be willing to negotiate and maybe throw in some work.
Some work, as in, what would that be?
I am an excellent fighter. I can run all sorts of errands. I can say a blessing for you if you believe in those things. I would say I probably have about 75 gold that could be expendable.
So you are not working with much at all. And here I thought
not.
you were a heavy paying customer.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
Well, that is okay, because I only have regular armor anyway. I prefer to work in the magical, in the arcane, and in enchantment of armors. But unfortunately, I have run out of materials to work with.
Oh? I think he kind of like purred a little bit. Well, if I were able to find you some of these materials, would you consider that payment towards an upgraded piece of armor?
And can you overturn the entire hand of bureaucracy? I used to get my materials from the Betrayer's Rise. There would be expeditions. I used to be under the employ of the Den Hythenos, who works here in the city, artificer. And there is a special material that comes from within the Betrayer's Rise. There's a pool of lava in one of the chambers, and a crystal that is close to the fire elemental plane where I come from. It's my specialty. However, alright, go ahead.
I'm curious. I'm curious why is the bureaucracy getting in the way of you having access to these materials, especially in an area where armor and combat materials are so needed?
Well, they are not letting any more expeditions in for a long while, and the only ones they have they have not saw fit to include me or my desires. Life is pain. I only supply the entire army, and they don't consider me. It's okay.
Life is pain.
Mm-hmm.
But with Avandra, all things are possible.
You are one of those praying types.
That I am.
How is that working out for you?
It is working out exactly how it is supposed to work out.
So painful. Yes.
Life may be pain, but the change bringer can change that.
If only she could come down and change my life and make it better.
Have you tried praying to her?
I pray with every single stroke of my hammer to any god who listens. No one has ever answered.
The god of the smithy looks like he has answered your prayers. And he looks around, admiring the quality of the work again.
If you say so. Toiling in mundane is the height of my calling, yes. But no, I apologize. I wish if you could supply me with any sort of wondrous material, special ore, metals, enchanted goods. I could help in that regard. Or if you could lend the ear of the task hand and find a way into the rise and get anyone to bring me back any of this material. I call it the red hurriculum.
Red hurriculum. Is that the only place where this ore is located?
Yes, it is a crystal imbued from the elemental plane. There is a magma chamber that it's been reported in the past. But a while ago, there was a rift opened up from the abyss, and no one was allowed in for a while. But a few days ago, members from a library they let them in with a bunch of guards. And no one has returned yet from what I have heard.
Interesting. From
I
a
reached out-
library, you say?
Yes, the Cobalt Soul or something. I reached out to my old employer, the Den Hythenos. I heard that they are sponsoring a delve into the Betrayer's Rise tomorrow with whatever random group showed up yesterday. But yet again, I find silence. No one considers poor Jorl.
A random group showed up yesterday, and they are getting the opportunity to go in.
That is what I hear. And
Interesting.
Ludo.
Have you heard?
I was saying,
Yeah,
Ludo, you
I-
have a
he's-
suspicion,
he's-
yeah.
Thinking it's that group. Yeah. I'm sorry. What'd you call that library?
The Cobalt Soul, sorry. I, as a DM, need to learn when to drop
Cobalt
the
Soul.
voice when you are asking for information.
No, it's all right. I'm trying to take notes and interact at the same
No,
time.
love it.
I feel like it's easier to take notes when other people are interacting too.
Oh, yeah, no, this has been, whoo, back and forth. That's constant.
Yeah. And then, who did you say after that was taking the group?
The Den Hythenos. Den Hythenos, which is, you heard from the task hand, or, I believe it was, actually, I don't think Ludo heard it yet. I think Aloysia told Saeryn that the other group was staying at that place.
Aloysia.
Yeah, so I think you guys had heard, that was the blonde elven woman that you had last talked to, the very bitchy one.
Yeah, I remember, we were trying to figure out how to pronounce the name.
Yeah, which,
I was thinking it's kind of...
Oh, was it?
It's kind of close to the name Aloysius. So what? It's kind of close to the guy's name Aloysius. So I wonder if it's Aloysia.
Yeah. So
Aloy-
actually,
but
they
yeah,
did
whatever.
do a pronunciation guide in the Netherdeep, and she is the first one on the list. Aloysia.
Oh, nice. Aloysia. So the Den Hythenos is taking the other group into Aloysia.
Which is honestly, the smartest thing you can do as a module is give a pronunciation guide at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, you could always leave it up to interpretation too.
Exactly. Language is an ever-changing construct. But yeah, so yeah,
especially English.
It is a bastard language. But anyway. Yeah.
Well, how do I join in this into what'd you call that area? I'm sorry, man. I feel like I'm taking notes and I'm trying to pay attention.
Saying things and also oh yeah, you understand these many words I throw at you. So there was the in the Betrayer's Rise.
Betrayer's Rise. That's where the red horinculum would be.
Yeah, he says, yes, it was found to be in a pool of magma that was found below. Past expeditions, it has been a while since they were allowed. Usually, they always say, no two trips into the Rise are the same.
Interesting.
But, yes, anything, if you have any other materials, metals, or if you're looking for an upgrade, I could, you have chain, I could get you a splint mail, perhaps. That is, So Splint Mail is a 17 AC armor, but that costs 200 GP.
Gotcha.
And then the next one up from that is Plate at 18 GP at 1500.
Yeah, we have. We have.
You do have that Mithril ore.
Oh, do I?
Well, not you, but you guys, the group. You guys all had packs on the horses. There was the silver and Mithril ore, I believe. But I don't know. I can't remember. I'd have to double check on the notes of how much of each to whom. Or
yeah, I don't.
If it all got compiled together. Yeah, those will all be on the pack horses.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, if Ludo knows that they have that, he would bring that up. But yeah, we actually have like 1 platinum and I just clicked out of it. We have 1 platinum, 147 gold, 60 silver.
Nice. That's I think platinum's 10 gold. So it'd be like 150. He says, yes, you have mithril ore, you say. And silver.
Yes. Why, yes, we do.
Well, normally I could always imbue weapons with silver on the blades, for fighting demons, if that's what you're into. But you seem to already have that with your spear. The mithril I could always make a plate armor out of, and it will make you not as noisy. It not as heavy on you, which mechanically would take away disadvantage stealth on armor. If you wear any armor, if you make it mithril, if you wear heavy armor, then it gives you disadvantage on stealth. Mithril will let you do that. We'll take that away.
Oh, cool.
And that costs. Usually it would be about 100 golden materials if I provided the mithril, but if you provide it, then I could do that on any armor at cost.
Well, I may just have that job for you then. I don't currently have the mithril on me, but I could bring that back maybe tomorrow.
Yes. I will be here all day. Every day. Non-stop.
Your life sounds like it's pain.
It is painful.
That's such a goofy catchphrase.
Life is pain.
Life is pain.
But what else can you do but the best you can, eh?
That is correct, good sir. Well, Jarrell, now that we are somewhat acquainted, would you recommend any other sites within the city for adventurers?
I do not recommend this city at all to anybody, ever for any reason. Not even to my enemies. There is nothing but pain here. And he says this to you like the smile has never left his face. Like he is smiling at you the entire time. Like the hair like fire dancing off of his head, like the yellow eyebrows with the burning coals of ember. And like he's been sitting and still like working in like the forges and the heat, and like you've probably sweated out the alcohol at this point. It is that hot. He says, do not step any closer to the forges. I feel you might combust.
Yeah,
I can smell it from here.
My chain links are heating up. Takes a step back.
Yeah, and you see, like, even though sweat pouring brown, like, he is in his element, basically.
Literally. In his element.
He says, but, if you are a religious type, there is the temple. Also, occasional pilgrimage at the obelisks, that is fallen. If you pray a lot, there's the crematorium, or, I don't know. Most people just get drunk.
Well, check that off my list.
I can tell.
Well, Jarrell, it's been a pleasure.
Yes. If you bring back that mithril and give me a little bit of gold, I can do that for you.
I will do that.
Yeah. If not, I will not hold my breath until then. If this city has taught you anything, it is to never hope for anything, because it will never come true.
Well, that's one outlook on life.
Ah, well, as we all know, it is pain.
I set you up for that one on purpose.
Yep, no, 100%. And it... Alright, yeah. And basically cut away from scene from there, because that horse has been beaten to death.
Yeah.
I'm down to still
keep
going to a little bit, or if you want to pull ripcord there, whatever, up to you.
Yeah, I think Ludo would make his way maybe to check out like one of the temples. I know it's late at night, just to, say a prayer and and then I guess make his way back to the inn.
Oh yeah. No, perfect. I will say I should actually do a quick little break then, because I need to use the bathroom. But still definitely down to get through a little bit more.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go use the restroom then too. It means I gotta kick a cat off my lap. He just hopped up here not too long ago.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. He'll come back.
They always will.
All right.
Be right back. All right.
All
I
right.
am back. Actually.
Yeah, I'm just rocking out to this little tune here on loop. It's pretty cool.
It really is one of my favorites that I found. I'm like, yeah, this is the BRB music officially.
I like it.
I think, yeah, this one comes from YouTube Audio Library. They just have like a bunch of free, copyright free, common use licensed music.
That's awesome.
People upload there. I also will say, for official posterity's sake, I definitely stole the NPC Jorl from there's this one YouTube live play series D&D I watched, the Dungeon Run. I think it is like they started in like 2019. It was like basically based off of like through Caffeine TV, through that short-lived internet experience, but they did like an actual casting call for people and actors to come do a live production D&D series, and the DM they got for that was Jeff Kanata, who I've never aware of him before anything of that, but did an amazing job. It's a great series, and they eventually had to go through like online digital like play through COVID and everything, but
right.
I've definitely used that NPC in a Swallows game before.
Yeah. Well, why not? It's a cool NPC. I like him.
It's like when he first introduced him in the series, like very early on, it was like episode 14 of like 140 or something like that. And like he kept coming back.
That's awesome. Good characters. Yeah. Why not?
But I'm just like, what a great concept of a character who just like everything he says is so depressing.
but he still has that big smile.
Everything is said so cheerfully. Like it actually broke the players.
Did he have the catchphrase in that series too?
Oh yeah, that was 100%. Like that was his character.
Life is pain.
But life is pain. So it's just it's out of one of those like concepts that have always stuck with me. And when I said, "Wait, this city's lacking a blacksmith in the book," okay. Full transparency, mask off. There's going to be it. Once this actual full module ends, I have about 2.5 hours already worth of like shout outs I need to give of like ideas and concepts that are not mine at all.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. It's all fun collaborative.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how is Ludo with everything in that? And walking away from that experience.
He's a little. Overall, he felt like it was a good experience, and he's kind of excited that that he found a talented blacksmith that could even just upgrade the weight and stealthiness of his armor. Not that he's like very stealthy to begin with, or really necessarily like needs it, but hey, you never know. You never know when there's a time that he needs to sneak a little more. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Being able to upgrade equipment and do all things. All right, but from there, have those conversations, feeling good and hopeful about that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's excited too that he had a conversation that, I mean, anybody else probably would have seen it as a little bit awkward, but to him, that was a successful interaction with another person.
I mean, okay, so can we actually delve into the Ludo mentality of like, he finally has that, and no one is around.
Yes. Of course. Yeah. So he's gonna go back and tell all his friends, and they're gonna be like, sure.
No, like, I'm just like, I can't wait for the roleplay with Aljin when you get into that. And he's just like, oh yeah, I had this conversation, blah, blah, and I went this way. And they're like, huh. Who are you? Amazing. So, but yeah, you walk away feeling good and elated from that. It is like the night has fully set. You see like the torches are being lit, lining the city, and the first thing that does stick out to you is how well lit. Like at every like lining every single street, and even like interspersed along the alleyways, there seem to be like the hanging torches that you see like the city guard going around, and like it's very hard to find a shadowy corner here even at night. And you can like militaristically appreciate the intent and aesthetic of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
cool.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
actually, let's change scene real fast. Put you back on the map.
Sure.
So zoom you back in. So this was probably like you were like here for the Klingenting. Did that pull you to the spot?
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, if you're there, and this is where the ready room is. So actually, we can, now that you've unlocked spots, I can.
Oh, cool. Clang and Tang, ready room.
And the sacrifice engines that you walked
Sacrifice
past.
engine.
Sweet. Yeah. And you know, like you were pointing off, there's that big obelisk sitting off in the distance. There's the smokestacks in the crematorium. There's a big wealthy district in the estates. Various other, temples to the Luxon, Raven Queen. There's like the old dilapidated temple that was pointed out earlier from Varen. There's still the a large wall like off onto the west side past the ready room once you get back into that like central square. If that's like, are you like, do you want to like head back towards center of city, or do you want to head in like any other direction?
I think it makes most sense to head back towards center of city and just keep an eye out for like a temple that looks inviting. I think Luda would feel like obviously most comfortable with finding, like a Changebringer temple, but he wouldn't be opposed to going to like the Luxon temple.
Yeah. So if you're going out seeking that specific, go ahead and give me we'll call this an investigation check.
All right. Nope.
All right. You begin walking your way around the city. Basically, do you think it's in a more like hapless fashion, like you just like let your feet take you wherever, or do you do you go and seek out with the intent of like, this is what I want to find, I'm going to find someone to like help point me in that direction?
No, I think just kind of like wandering and finding a place. Like his intent is to eventually, like say a prayer before the evening ends. But yeah, I mean, to Ludo, anywhere could be a temple to Avandra. So
Yeah.
he's just kind of like letting the Lady of Luck and guiding light guide him to wherever he needs to go.
Perfect. In that case, go ahead, roll a d10 for me.
Sure.
Roll that d10 again.
All right.
Awesome. All right. you begin wandering, making your way through the city, trying to, find something, a prayer site, something holy. I'll leave it to you. There's north, west, or east, because you came from the south to get to this direction.
Mm-hmm.
North would be going over to like where the mountains rise up into that Betrayer's Rise. West would take you past where that wall is. There's that temple. Maybe some way off in that direction, there's the obelisk sitting over into the east. And also a whole other portion of the city, unexplored yet. Like pretty much every other way is fresh right now.
Well, let's do we'll say 1 is west, 2 is north, 3 is east. So north.
Begin walking your way north as you make your back way through that central square. And as you're coming through, you catch so the ready room is off, sitting right there as you're like walking by through that square. You see at first there's still those 2 people that were bickering earlier. You see like the scene, it seems like progressed. There's been things like it seems to have gotten like closer, more simmered down, intimate, but like the 2 are still sitting there and they're talking back and forth. It was like the one just like random male drow, and then there's like the shorter goblin that was conversation, and they're still like both in each other's face. And you look around and that one Aurora Watchguard is not there present. You look around to like the other side of the square and you see that guard that had broken them up before earlier is now sitting there talking with like another guard who was out on patrol, some random bugbear. And like hairy whiskers like peeking down through the helmet, like very visible features, like taller, lankier. And these 2, the guard and the one from earlier, the drow guard, and the bugbear, they also seem to be starting to be bicker and getting it. Like they're very both like close drawn up, like they're both on opposite ends of the square as you're making your way north.
And they're both guards, you said?
There's the 2 guards on like the one side, we'll call that east. There's the 2 guards that seem to be in a conversation, because you're looking at body language and just like that passive sweep over everything, and you can tell like looking at the people on the west side, the drow and the goblin, the random commoners, civilians that you saw earlier, and seeing like those 2 in that conversation, like you can tell from their body language they're that, and as you can kind of see the same from like the other guards on so like they're 2 like very wholly apart, like basically like a couple hundred yards at this point, and oblivious to like each other's groups.
Could I maybe like insight check from here just to like see if I'm thinking that it's gonna get heated again?
Yeah, and are you trying to look at both of them or looking at one in particular?
I guess the one that I saw before. I guess I wouldn't really be too worried about the guards.
Gotcha. All right.
Figured they could handle themselves.
Awesome. Go ahead and make that insight then on the 2 commoners. Make an insight roll 6.
Dang. Rolling like crap. I had that one crit 20 that didn't even count.
It really has been. I think this is the drunk Ludo session. Like maybe all the alcohol hasn't been sweated out as much as you thought. So it is with the 6. So like it's not like you get false information or have a misinterpretation of anything. It is like basically how you read the situation as it is. And you're not able to glean anything more without like getting closer involved and listening in to them.
Yeah, at this point, if there's no violent acts occurring or no threats of violence, I think Ludo is just gonna continue on his way.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. How long do you want to sit there and watch and observe things before moving on?
I don't think very long at all. I think enough to. Yeah, I don't even know if he would have stopped. I think he would have
Gotcha.
looked and done that insight and not caught anything
Perfect.
that needed intervened. So just continue walking. He may have slowed his pace to look over a little bit, but he would have just kept walking.
Yeah, and you are getting snippets of since you were focusing more on the commoner side and the drow and the goblin, it's one of them definitely seems to be the goblin is in a more of a mourning, and it's a more of an accusatory towards the other person, just you always left us on our own. That they came and they killed her. The Faust fucking grabbed and took her away, and it's your fault. And he's goes and puts his hand on the dagger before the other one tries and goes and shoves him back. But as you just keep walking past, you're waiting, listening for the sound of it being drawn from the sheath, but without staying and waiting around, you're not too sure. And you keep on making your way up to the north, walking through that intersection. You see off to the left, there's the smokestacks rising out from the large brick building, which you think might be the crematorium, and then off to the right to the east is a whole other set of buildings, another large sacrifice engine pit, those large hole with the silver blades, and then rising up you see a much more heavy militaristic multiple squads stationed up along barricades facing against the mountain where the stairs rise up into the gates of the Betrayer's Rise.
Gotcha. Yeah, so since Ludo did hear some of that conversation, I think he would note that he heard somebody accusing the other person of leaving them behind and someone getting dragged away. Mm-hmm. So I think he would commit that to his memory, just in case that did pop up again. I'm telling you that as both Ludo and as a player, yeah. so that if that needs to come up again, Ludo does remember, so the DM knows that too.
Perfect.
So crematorium, I guess I'm kind of leaning towards having Ludo go that way, but not because he wants to go to the crematorium, but I think that way seems more appealing, and maybe even just wander that way, maybe find a set of stairs or some place that looks peaceful enough to say a minute-long prayer, if that, and then make his way back to the ready room.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll say as you're sitting there contemplating that left turn, right turn, and heading that way, finding a spot, you do actually see as they're just seems to be coming up from that direction. You can't tell exactly, but somewhere from the west. And I think it sticks out at you because you haven't seen this before, maybe, or not in a while, at least in this current trip. It is called an Onia. So it's a half orc, half elf. So it has the more muscular, larger features, more, stalwart, larger frame build, but it has like the sharp elven features and qualities, like the cheekbones and like the chin and ears that come to the point, and that's like that timeless, ageless, beauty that comes with it.
Yeah.
This person, as they come walking past, as you're sitting there, like getting that moment, praying, like doing whatever your mantra wrote, you see them walking by, heading towards the east. The pale gray, greenish skin, almost like the color of sage, wearing these long, flowing silk robes of muted dark gray colors with a sparkling silver trim, and these large, fluffy cuffs that just like droop down but seem to like float off the ground, but like never touching, as just like gliding along. They have a number of earrings and piercings, and the septum is also pierced with like a silver ring. And they just seem to guys kind of be like sweeping down along through the streets and heading east. So like if you're coming to that intersection and heading about west, they're coming towards your direction, going like like their focus is heading towards the east. And they stop and like notice you, and they say, "Oh, I beg your pardon. I am so sorry. I do not mean to intrude."
There's no ill intent perceived.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Emery Foy, at your service. And they do like a little bit of a flourish and a bow with that.
Can you put that name in the chat? Thanks. Emery Foy. Emery, it's nice to meet you. I am Ludo, and I was just finishing up a prayer to the goddess of Andra.
Ah, the Changebringer.
Yes, the Lady of Luck.
I could tell you were in prayer, and that's why I was sorry I intruded. I happen to be a believer in Corellan, the Archart.
So, I would imagine Ludo is pretty familiar with other, at least major religions and gods, goddesses.
You know what? One of these is going to be good.
But I, as a player, am not.
Yeah, let's give a good religion roll for Ludo. But yeah, see, make it with advantage. There it is.
There we go.
Because, for reasons. So with that 21, it is because there have been texts that intersect with each other, with Avandra and Corellan. They definitely had worked in unison together during the Calamity and fought during what is known as the the War of Divergence, where what we call the Betrayer Gods teamed up with the Primordials to kill all humanity, and what is known as the Prime Deities, the good guys, quote unquote, what we know of them is the Prime Deities decided to protect and back humanity in that war. That was what the entire civilization, 3/4 of human population was wiped out during that hundreds of years of tumultuous time. So Corellan, you know them as they're called the Archart. First and foremost, the progenitor of elves. All elven bloodline is said to be descended from them. Like in the Feywild, elves were their first creation.
Gotcha.
After or during the time that when humanity was being created, when they were just known as the gods at this time. This is pre-Calamity, pre an event called the Schism, where the gods split over what to do about humanity. Pre-wars that, predate time, and there's little known, but that was the major reason why the gods got split into the two parties. And then the calamity was the betrayer gods coming back, teaming up with the primordial titans that used to rule the earth before humanity, before the gods created them. And that time during the calamity is when what that is now known as the Divine Gate. All gods are sealed behind the Divine Gate and cannot interfere with the prime material plane anymore. But before
Gotcha.
that was when the calamity was happening, so the gods were here battling in real time, and that's what pretty much destroyed most of the world. So Corellon was the progenitor of elves, a little bit, androgynous, sometimes referred to as the father, sometimes the mother, depending on, the context and who you're, referenced to. They also are like, gods of beauty, art, magic, the arcane. That is what Corellon specializes in. And actually, there is a handout, or it's in symbols. Yeah, so show to players. Guardian of Spring, Beauty, and the Arts, Corellon is the patron of arcane magic and the Fae. The founding inspired them to wander the twisted land, seeding the first arcane magics, and raising the most ancients of forests. By their hand, the first elves wandered from the Feywild, and that's why they're the progenitor. And they, those who seek art in all their work, whether magical or mundane, often worship at the altar of Corellon. They loathe the Spider Queen, Lolth, and her priestesses for leading the Drow astray. So the history is the Dark Elves, the Drow that you know them as, were first corrupted by Lolth from Corellon. This is during Schism times. The Drow that you know them here in Xhorhas, they are the ones that broke free from Lolth's grasp during the calamity, or during that time when they found the Luxon. That's what the queen who rules the Kreen dynasty. They worship the Luxon because it freed her from Lolth's grasp. She came above surface, and they started this empire. And in real-term politics, they're at war with the civilization to the west over the mountains, the Dwendalian Empire. I'm throwing a lot of shit at you. I am so sorry. This is basically the Critical Role lore dump episode. Anything I need to clarify on or back up on?
More about how... I don't think so at this point. I pulled up the Corellon Critical Role, but I'm not scrolling
down.
So here, I'm just
there's the handout
stuff. So basically, what you told me.
Yeah, any handout you need should be here in the handout in game, because I will say, though, any other wikis or officials will get into information, especially from this module. But so sorry, I started tanging and lore dumping. So you see this elf orc, they mention that. Boom, that blast of knowledge comes to your forefront of mind. And yeah, you can, relay as much as you want. But they say, I am a worshiper of Corellon, the Archheart. And I'll let you, any other notes you need to catch up on? Sorry.
How Ludo I think he would, yeah, show respect and, yes, Corellon, the Archart. I'm just, I was...
Also, I think Ludo would know this as well, because Morgen has mentioned it. The tome that Morgen carries, that verdant green, almost like druidic-like tome, that they sometimes ritual cast out of. It's been very not mentioned or talked about a lot. Like, Morgen has never explicitly talked about it, I think, to people, besides like once. And you might have actually not been there that game now that I think about it. Morgen carries like a tome, and they have ritual casted a few spells out of it, and they've mentioned it is from Corellon. Like, it is their magic. As opposed to like their cleric duties are for the Raven Queen.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
well,
that's
cool.
It's a lot to like. I don't really know if I mention all of that to a stranger.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think just enough to show that he's familiar and
yes,
he's a practiced paladin.
Mm-hmm.
He he knows his religions.
So you are a practiced devout. That is admirable, especially. This city does not respect the gods, nor do the gods show respect here often.
Why might you believe that to be so?
It is, and they gesture with their hand up and like towards the betrayer eyes, those like large, foreboding Gothic architecture overlooming the city. The thumbprints of the betrayer gods is heavy. Their stronghold in the abyssal rift makes piety difficult sometimes. But I digress. I was on my way over here to the east. I hear in the latest attack, and the demons that infiltrated the city, they had left runes, graffiti, etchings on the obelisk, and I was on my way to investigate.
Well, would you like some assistance?
Oh, I would love any help. Are you familiar with infernal language?
Am I? I am not.
I was gonna say, yeah, because I know there was one person that like we had the one language that needed refigured out, but I think yours is already covered. That is okay. I think maybe sometimes things can be hidden beyond sight, and it can take an extra eye to look at what is not seen. Come with me.
I would be glad to assist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you see like, I don't know, like this person like just did an immediate, like a random walking by, caught your attention, and just like, oh, okay, yes, this is like they're taking it all in stride. Which is, yeah, like, it is weird, like which I think is like, I like how does Ludo feel about that?
I think Ludo's all right, but this person seems like a religious person. Yeah, I don't think he has any reservations at this point. He's probably still a bit tipsy, so
Yeah,
I don't know that he's the best judge of character at this point, but
fair enough.
He's just enjoying himself.
Yeah, perfect.
Enjoying the night, exploring. Yep.
Awesome. So as they start taking you over, and they'll start like chatting, conversing, and like, what brings you to Bazzoxan?
Well, I'm actually here with my adventuring party.
Ah,
You know, yes. Yeah, we made our way over here, but I just kind of tagged along.
Well, surely, Avandra, he said, has put you on the right path and where you need to be.
I believe that she has.
Many people feel their time here in Bazzoxan is a lost cause or a punishment of some kind. But I think it is a testament. It reminds me... oh, yeah, yes, go on.
You sound wise.
Wise? I don't know. Maybe... comfortable in my faith. I know...
That you should be.
I say, take a look at me. And you see, and you like look at them again, that like androgynous appearance, and they flow with that ease of like, it might be the first time you've seen, besides the Tascan Varen, when you first entered the city, the badass with the glaive. This is the only other person you've seen that probably carries their head high and doesn't look at the ground when they walk. If that says anything. Well, as Uniya, half orc, half elf, I owe my livelihood to Corellan. That they are the progenitor of my life. My kind. And it is in the face of difficulty. It says more about ourselves and how we respond to that. And I think there's beauty in this strength.
I think truer words could not have been spoken. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes, you remind me of, if I may,
please,
the story of Zalikas, the fallen angel.
Zalikas, the fallen angel.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, even with that 21 religion, you've never heard of that.
Okay. I'm unfamiliar.
Yes, it is. A story lost to time, usually. But the followers of Corellan, we remember. They were a solar, an angel devoted to Corellan who fought in the calamity here in the wastes alongside blessed heroes, champions that were gifted the power of the gods in the wake of the destruction of the calamity. And this angel, Zalikas, I'm just giving you all the names.
I know. I'm filling up more notes than I've written. I've probably about doubled my notes.
I love it.
Just in this session.
Oh man, Luda's gonna have so much to fill people in on. Yeah, sorry.
But is he really going to come out and tell everybody all of this? Gosh. I was thinking about that earlier. Is he? I mean, he might just. Yeah, I met some cool people.
I did some things.
Discovered some runes on a.
People are going to join the game and they're going to scroll up and be like, what is all these names? What does this mean? And you're like, I don't know. Anyway.
I don't remember. I was drunk.
The fallen angel. They were dealt a mighty blow as retribution for what Corellon did to Groomsh, the orcish god of fury, the betrayer god. In retribution, Groomsh sought out Zelikas and sent a mighty horde against them and the champion here at the gates of Bazzoxan. And that angel fell. But they say their spirit still wanders the land, looking for redemption in a failure of what they perceive their own shortcomings.
Well, it sounds like I have quite a bit in common with this Zelikas. Although my shortcomings, some innocent people had lost their lives due to my shortcomings.
That is an oft too familiar tale here in the wastes. Especially here at the seat of the Betrayer's Rise, the Umbra Gates themselves. And at this point, you guys finally come to this fallen obelisk, this shattered, fallen structure of like almost like pure obsidian black stone. You can still see like a bunch of like rows of houses and markets and structures that were crumbled and smashed underneath it, and the amount of stone and debris that's still there just kind of like given the neat structure of the city otherwise, it just says, I think, more of like to like the lack of manpower as to why this is still here.
Mm-hmm. It's just become a part of the city now.
Yeah, and there's just like etchings and beautiful drawings. Like you can see like inscriptions. It's hard to determine exactly for what purposes originally constructed, how long ago it had fallen. But you see there are like these like red infernal runes and glyphs that are like etched and carved into it. You can see where like acid has like etched away and carved it into the surface of the thing. You can see other like red bleeding, like oozing almost like marks that are left and glowing with the infernal energy. It is very obvious, and you sit here looking at that, standing next to Emery, this Uni half-orc, half-elf, taking in this scene, absorbing all the information that you have come through tonight. Still probably kind of half-drunk, Ludo. Real fast, we are going to put this up on the screen, since you have unlocked that. And I think that's where we'll end it.
All right. No, that sounds good. That was cool. Cool little session.
Yeah. Oh, Inter-Ludo once again.
Inter-Ludo. I love it.
I love, like, hey, I think I'm clever, so I'm gonna.
No, man, I am impressed with that one. I love puns and plays on words. So.
No. A lot of fun. Ludo just going and unlocking a lot of the points around the city, honestly. Just hitting up, seeing the things, and catching those small interactions.
That's 2 interactions that have not been awkward, that nobody else has witnessed.
Dude, one of these days everyone else is gonna like listen back to this like session when I put it online. They're gonna be like, wait, what? Ludo, where is this? No, I love it.
Yeah, it was cool.
Cool I'm glad we get to do that, especially spend a little bit of time, explain when, we come into next game. Everyone comes to moments of, and everyone's like, hey, where is Ludo? And it's like, aha, well, amount of things happen.
There he is.
And no, I'm glad you got to do this. And
yeah, me too. Me
Uh,
too.
You know, I think I'm just gonna stick with it. And thank you once again for coming out. This was the session 11.5 of the Netherdeep, and thank you for joining, Ray. It only takes 6 seconds to start being a better person in life. Booyah!
Yep.